If you've been waiting, saying, I'm waiting for rates to drop to go buy a house, well, they've dropped. And you know what else? We get busy starting in March. That's already warming up early. So if you're thinking of buying this spring, don't wait because there'll be more competition for those gems that come on the market. And we are seeing more homes come on the market.
Welcome to Albuquerque Real Estate Talk, episode 571 with Tracy and Tego Venturi, as always, talking about what's going on in Albuquerque real estate. We're in end of February 2026 and just got some final numbers on home value appreciation in Albuquerque. Kind of the gold standard data came out, Tracy, so we're going to talk about that.
Sounds very exciting.
Oh, I know it is exciting. People want to know, what's going on.
I know they do.
And I want to compare Albuquerque to other markets as well, because I think that context is pretty important. You had something come up when you were driving around the other day you wanted to talk about.
Okay, so obviously we're going to talk about interest rates, right? So I listened to
No, it's not obvious though, because I think what's been happening with interest rates in the last month or so has been kind of under the radar. It's been kind of quiet. People aren't noticing it. But anyway, okay.
Okay, so
That's the setup.
My turn to talk?
Yeah, yes.
Okay.
Well, I don't know. Let me decide. Yes. Okay, go ahead.
So I listened to iHeartRadio in the morning, Bobby Bones' show. And Bobby and his crew, Amy Lunchbox, they had a special guest, I think, that morning. Anyway, Bobby was talking about the interest rates were now under 6. And they had this whole conversation about great time to buy a house, that houses were more affordable. And he was even saying things that were so smart, like it's still a seller's market in some cities and it's more balanced in others. And I was like, you go, Bobby, giving good information to your listeners. So we're going to talk about the interest rates.
Well, let's go right there. Let me go ahead and pull up the recent chart. And so if you're online, you can see this. I'm looking at Mortgage News Daily, and this graph we're looking at. It's a line chart. It goes back 1 year, and 1 year ago, same week, we were at 6.8 basically. And as of today, when we're recording this on February 25th, it's at 6%. It dropped to 5.99 for the last couple of days. So that's what everybody's saying. It dropped below 6%. Yeah.
Yep, and it did. And, some programs are lower than that.
Yeah, well, FHA, for example,
is at 5.75, I think.
We pull up the 30-year FHA, I think we're down,
5.65%.
5.65, yeah. So mortgage rates, and that's why we kind of started this, because it's kind of been happening. It's just quietly dropping. It's not these big spikes up and down that we hear about, and we get a lot of news on it, but just quietly rates are just dropping a little bit. So, you're 3/4 lower than a year ago. That's a very different buying power position than it was a year ago.
Well, 5.65 for FHA is a point lower. So yeah, if you've been waiting, saying, I'm waiting for rates to drop to go buy a house, well, they've dropped. And you know what else? We get busy starting in March. That's already warming up early. So if you're thinking of buying this spring, don't wait because there'll be more competition for those gems that come on the market. And we are seeing more homes come on the market.
We are. Well, and actually we're seeing though right now, and this is common this time of year, is quite a bit more homes going under contract than coming into the market. So we're actually still, every week we're dropping in supply because we're seeing decent activity, but there's just not as many homes coming on the market. There's a lot in the pipeline, as you know, from our team, but when I'm out talking to other realtors and stuff, I'm hearing that as well. There's a lot of people getting ready to sell, getting lined up to get their home on the market this spring. So
there you go. Listen to Bobby Bones and get good advice
and
be entertained.
Yeah. All right. Let's talk about home prices, Tracy. So FHFA, which I kind of consider the gold standard of home value tracking. It's a home price index. And the thing that's unique about FHFA is they're trying to compare if the exact same home sold last year versus this year, how much has the values gone up. And so for the last year, they've got Albuquerque, so fourth quarter 25 to fourth quarter 26, 3% appreciation. which is slightly different than number we talk about quite a bit, which is the Zillow home value index. And I've got it up on the screen here. Now, Zillow's saying home prices have appreciated 1%, but there's a very different methodology there in that Zillow's looking at every single home on the market, not just homes that have sold.
Right.
Yeah.
It's every house.
Yeah. One of the things I wanted to do, though, is go back because we talked about this a year ago and
I'm
we
sure.
talked about it.
I'm sure.
Remember last year, there was a little kerfuffle in our market because Realtor.com came out and said that Albuquerque was setting up to have the biggest decline in home values of all the markets in the country. Do you remember that?
Yep.
They said Albuquerque was going to drop 4% in home values. And you and I are looking at that like going, there's no reason, there's no logic to that. There's nothing that makes any sense whatsoever. I ended up
Right.
talking to the chief economist at Realtor.com about that and saying, what's up? He didn't have a good answer. Anyway, and Zillow said home values would be up around 3 or 4%. Well, Zillow got it right. Realtor.com got it very wrong.
And they're significantly different. 8 points different.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
Minus
yeah.
4 to plus 4.
Yeah. And,
Yeah.
and you and I last year, same time, I think it was probably back in December when we did a year ago, December.
It was
when
probably
we did
January.
Yeah. But, we were thinking that 2025 would be somewhere in that 3-4% range. Well, guess where we ended up? Around 3%.
Right.
And so if we look into this year in 2026, like we were just talking about, there's already pretty decent activity out there, but it's very similar to last year. Very similar. The number of homes on the market is a little bit more than a year ago. The number of homes, selling is very similar to last year. There's no big rush of supply coming on the market. There's no big rush of demand coming into the market. I think 2026 is going to be very similar to 2025 and, this kind of moderate price appreciation. That's my forecast.
Okay. Sounds good. So, Tego, I just realized we're both wearing pink.
I know we are.
And
I
I
know.
just realized my sweater's inside out.
Well, I thought that was the style.
Oh, it
that
is.
Wasn't on purpose?
It is the style.
Oh,
I've been to
yeah.
the dentist today and everything, and nobody said, hey, your sweater's inside out.
Well, you're the powerful Tracy Venturi. They don't want to
Yeah, right.
tell you.
It's probably because I have this vest on and it's hiding my tag. For all the people who weren't online to see that chart, did you notice how high the rates got during the year?
Oh, wait, we're going back to
The 1
You're
year,
jumping
sorry.
around on me here. I can't keep up. Okay, we're on
Where we said 1 year ago rates were at like 6.8
interest rates. Yes,
interest rates, but they went up from there into the mid sevens.
they did. They got up into the sevens back in spring of
in the
last
spring
year.
of last year.
Yeah.
So when I saw that chart and I saw that we're below 6 today or around 6 today, I wonder if we're going to see any little bump up, if it's seasonally going to be that springtime when everyone's trying to buy, or is that like if you look at a 10-year chart, does it show a seasonal bump up in interest rates?
It's not really seasonal when we talk about interest rate. Interest rates have more to do with macroeconomic things going on. It's not so much interest. It's bond rates. We're not going to go down this.
This was
rabbit
a
hole.
very kind answer. I just thought you were going to jump on there and change the date and show me a 10-year chart. Because usually when I ask
Here.
a question, you say, I have a chart for that.
Well, here's the 5-year.
Let me see spring every year. Does it go up?
This is going to be too hard to do.
Yeah,
no,
it doesn't. No.
It doesn't. It doesn't. Again, interest rates
Yeah.
aren't dictated seasonally. It's
Perfect.
more about other economic factors.
Okay.
One other thing, back to the market. We're all over the place today, folks.
That was
Sorry
my
about
fault.
That. No, it's all right. Forecast. I said, forecasting wise, we expect something very similar to 2026 or 2025. Moderate appreciation. Well, this is the 100 largest markets in the country. I've got a chart up here. It's a bar chart. And what it's showing is what they forecast home prices to appreciate over the next year. Nationally, they're saying 8%, so about 1%. Right?
Across the whole country.
Average across the whole country.
0.8%, just less than 1%.
Yeah, I'm saying 1%. I'm rounding.
Okay.
I'm rounding.
0.8.
Okay.
I just wanted to make it clear it wasn't 8%.
The thing that's interesting for us is Albuquerque is in the top 12, 15 markets in the country of 100 is what they're forecasting. They're forecasting Albuquerque at 2% home price appreciation. It's interesting because El Paso, they've got exactly the same. So El Paso, we kind of lump together with El Paso a lot of times.
I see Tucson way down at the other end, flat.
Yeah,
not up or down.
Not up or down.
Phoenix, Tucson, flat.
So, there's, what do you see here? About
Dallas
20 or so markets that they're expecting depreciation. Austin being the biggest one, which is interesting because Austin
has already gone
had
down.
Huge home price boom during the pandemic days, and they've been just seen prices dropping. But Austin has also seen a huge influx of new construction, new apartments.
Business.
They've been building. So it has affected home values in that market. So anyway, yeah, it's interesting going forward. I think this is probably pretty close. We're probably going to end up somewhere to 3-4% range for 2026 for Albuquerque home values.
Perfect. So Tego, I want to talk about something that's probably not on your list.
Of course it isn't.
We talked about it over morning coffee, but I don't see it on your agenda. So I want to talk about the trend we've been seeing with people finding land and hiring a builder.
Yeah.
Building new construction. We were looking, the Central Home Builders Association of New Mexico usually does a parade of homes. Used to be fall and spring.
I'll just fill in for you as you talk.
Yeah. If I pause, you'll just take over. So they have one this spring. It's late April, early May, the first 2 weekends.
I think it's the last weekend of April, first weekend of May. Yeah.
So if you are thinking you might want to build your own home and find land, or just hire a builder, sometimes people already own the land and they need a builder. We can help with that. We know builders. We know construction lenders if you need construction lending, because that's different than just getting a mortgage, right? Construction lending is very specialized, and there are some people in our market that are very good at it and do it every day. That's their jam. So finding land, I did a land search yesterday, Tego. I was just curious what's out there.
Yeah.
And, land is not cheap.
And when you say land, you mean vacant land for residential building. Okay.
Right.
Where you can build a custom home.
Right. I didn't limit it by size, but I just kind of did different areas of town based on our multiple listing service. And I looked at the Northeast Heights, and I was thinking, are there any infill lots where you might want to pick up a lot? And, there really weren't.
Mm-hmm.
Like a small, quarter acre or whatever, just an infill lot. Didn't find any. I found 2 commercial properties that were in our MLS that were land.
Yeah.
But, when you get further northeast, there's quite a few in North Albuquerque Acres, Sandia Heights. But to get a lot in those areas, Tego, where you don't have huge flood implications, where you'd have to have flood insurance, or you'd have to get an engineer in there to determine where you could build, if you built up the dirt here and all that without changing the arroyos. Right?
Yeah, go ahead. I wanted you to finish, but I want to say something about that. Yeah.
So when you, like North Albuquerque Acres are notorious, the lot might be 200,000 or it might be 500,000. And it could be based on north side of the street with backyard views to the mountains tends to be more expensive than south side of the street. But the rule is you can't change the natural flows of the water coming off the mountain and working its way down to the valley. So any arroyo through your yard, you can't just divert it and make it hit somebody else's yard differently, right? But you can have an engineer come in and say, okay, if we build up this area, it's out of the floodplain and it's safe to build here, because a lot of those lots are almost an acre and there's ways to do that. 0.89. But the lots that are impacted, and a lot of them are, the prices vary greatly. And if you don't know what you're doing and you buy a lot without thinking about the extra costs for the engineering and the infill and the land before, buying, you could be at, a lot more money than you're thinking.
Yeah. And I think what we're seeing, and I've seen this, is, a premium high-end lot for a high-end custom home, it's going to be $300,000-$400,000.
Just the land.
Just the land. Well, let's assume it does have at least services to it: gas, electric, water, maybe not, septic, maybe not. Yeah, So it very much depends on where it is. The thing I wanted to say, and you brought it up, was, if a piece of land looks like a good deal, there's probably a reason why.
Right.
Really, really smart. If you are thinking about doing the custom home build thing, make sure you talk with your builder or your realtor or somebody that understands, what's going on, because it may sound like a great deal. You can get a lot for $40,000 and it's got a great view and it's in Rio Rancho, but then you learn that you're going to have to put in a $50,000 well to get water, or you're going to have to put in, another $20,000 to get electricity to it. So you've got to be really cognizant of those things and make sure you're doing all your due diligence. If you find a great lot, you can get it under contract and make it subject to due diligence and working with your builder to make sure it works and all that good stuff too.
So Tego, not to tout my own horn, but I have sold over 200 parcels of land.
Well, I think that makes you an expert.
And I actually counted them once, but it's been a few years since I counted them, so I may be over 300 by now. But best advice, a lot of times people inherit land, great, but if you are looking for a piece, whether you want to put a mobile home on a piece of land or you want to build a custom home, make sure that you get the expert involved in looking at that land before you buy it. And that's one of the things. We've got several builders who will go and walk your final choice with you before you even write an offer on it, and help make sure that it's good, because you might still want it, but you might find out that you're next to the river and you have to bring in engineered soil, right? It might be $30,000 just for the dirt. They might have to scrape up the clay and bring in soil so your house foundation won't crack. We learned that. We bought a lot 24 years ago, 25 years ago, and we knew it.
Yeah, we knew it.
We knew it, but I think at the time it was like a $20-some thousand extra just for the dirt before they could start building.
Yeah, and that's very common in the Valley in particular. So, just a lot to consider, and it's exciting though. I mean, it's exciting to do custom build. Just get good advice and
even if you're looking at a prefab, mobile home, whatever, custom, we can help with that.
Manufactured homes.
Yeah. We can help.
Mobile homes aren't really even a thing anymore, but that's a topic for another week.
Offsite built. But we can help with that, and we know different providers, we know different builders that are good, that'll go and walk things with you. We know different resources, planning and zoning people, electric, utility people, where you can get an estimate of what it would cost, because like in Rio Rancho, someone will say, well, the house down the street has electric, I can just bring it up the street. And you probably better get a quote from PNM first on what it will cost to bring that in, because it's not just the line, it's connecting and everything else. So,
lot to consider there.
But let me just finalize it with the spring parade.
Yes.
A lot of the custom builders will have people they have bought for, so you don't have to wait for the parade. If you have a builder and you want to see their work, they likely have a few past clients who will let you tour through their home with them. So,
well, and since it's end of February, parade's coming up end of April. There's probably a lot of building going on right now, finishing up,
right.
So
houses in progress.
Probably a lot of houses in progress in the pipeline for the spring show.
So you could meet and see what they're doing before they enclose all the walls, perhaps.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's one of my passions, so I'm glad you let me talk about it, even though it wasn't on the list.
Hey, no, it's good topic.
So I saw something really cool this morning that you told me you were going to work on, and I didn't think you could get it done so quickly, but you did.
Yeah, so I'm going to pull this up on the screen, Sam, if you could share screen. So, all right.
So something complex is kind of changing, right?
Yeah, I know this is not the most exciting thing. Let's try to make this topic more exciting. It's financial crimes, enforcement, and it's looking for, people doing bad things, right? And
money laundering, movements of cash.
Yes.
So this FinCEN is what we're talking about. It's a new rule as of March 1st, which is now.
Well, and just to be clear, FinCEN is a big it's the whole financial crimes, part of the U.S. Treasury, right? But they've just added this residential reporting requirement. So when a residential property sells, there's potentially some additional reporting that the buyers in particular and the sellers are going to have to do.
So Tego, you were telling me that you wish there was a way to make it easier for buyers and sellers and realtors to know when it applies.
Correct.
And you're telling me you have something.
I do. I made something. So I've been experimenting with this AI thing called vibe coding, which basically, you just tell the app what you want, the AI what you want, and it basically builds an app for you. The and so I did that.
But you have to understand it well enough to give it good direction.
Of course.
Right.
Right. And I've, had already gone down the rabbit hole on understanding it. And, I could answer these questions, but I thought, well, let me build an app that'll do it for people. And so I did it. So I've got it up on the screen here right now.
And if people aren't looking at the screen?
Yeah, it's abq.re/FinCEN, FINCEN.
Oh, there you go.
Okay, so that's our short link, abq.re
Nice. Right.
and /FinCEN. And so it's just questionnaires. So here's the first question, Tracy, is the sale transfer, is the sale?
Is this a sale?
Thank you. Is it, I can't even read my own writing. I didn't even write it. AI wrote it. So is this a sale or transfer where money or other consideration is being paid? And the reason that question is important, just to start off, because if you're transferring it from yourself to your trust or something like that, and there's no money involved, then reporting isn't required, right? So let's say that, yes, money is being traded or exchanged. The next question is, how is the purchase funded? This is where it really makes a big difference, because if the funding of the purchase of this property is through a traditional bank lending institution, it already has all these financial crime safeguards in place, you don't have to do this. However, if it's a cash purchase, so these are our options: finance through a regulated bank or credit union, right? Okay, it's probably not going to apply. But if it's cash or seller financing, or what we call real estate contracts in New Mexico, is it hard money private lending or mixed? But let's say it's a cash purchase, and then it's asking, okay, what type of property is it? Is it a residential property or commercial? Commercial, it doesn't apply. Residential, we're going to say yes, it is. And then the last part of this, is it a trust or is it a corporation, as in like an entity, or is it an individual person? If it's an individual person, it probably doesn't apply. But we're going to say it's a legal entity. And is this transfer involved a supervised legal process, a structured exemption? And in this case, no. Most is going to be no, right? And so what this tool does now, and says this transaction is likely subject to FinCEN reporting. And then you say, okay, I'm the buyer or the seller. If you hit buyer, it shows you what you're going to have to provide. So it's saying legal name of the trust or the entity or the corporation, whatever it is, the address, your identification. So it could be a EIN number, or if it's the corporation, but then individual people's identify stuff like social security numbers and so on. Also, what type of funding is it, and where is it coming from?
And that's where they get that. Plus, anybody involved in that legal entity has to give their information.
Correct. 25% beneficial owner or more has to do it. So I know this is really wonky stuff, but it really matters for investors, people purchasing property in entities like LLCs and such, and aren't using traditional financing.
Great tool, Tego. Good job working with your AI. I know you're an AI expert, and it's awesome.
I would not say that.
I would say that you're probably 20,000 times better than most people.
Yeah.
Okay, so we also have a lot of new houses listed on the market this week. Some real gems you might want to see either at open houses or call us to get an appointment to get in. They'll be on our website at abq.re/OH.
Good job,
Did
Tracy.
I get it right, Sam?
Yeah.
Sam coaches me every week about this, and I never remember. So a lot of great open houses, but obviously a tour of several at the same time. Get it on your schedule when you want is always better. We have an awesome team.
It does. I know it's end of February, but it feels like spring out there right now.
Well, that's why I think we're feeling the bump. I said that last week on our show. I said, with the warm weathers, okay, we had that blip of a huge snowstorm, but now it's above average. Well,
I must have missed that.
It was like 2 weeks ago. Remember, we had a storm.
Yeah.
But It's funny because I was at the dentist this morning, and you know when the hygienist is like doing your teeth and they talk to you and you can't answer, it's like, why do they ask questions? They should just talk. But okay, you know, I've been going to Roberta forever, so we have a lot to catch up on. But she was saying, do you think it's going to get a hard freeze again? Because all my bulbs want to come out and my flowers and my snapdragons have never died. And do you think we're going to get more snow and a really, really hard freeze? And I'm laying there thinking, okay, I can't answer. She's got all these tools in my mouth. But I was thinking, you know, we've had major snowstorms in April. It's
Of course.
only like
Oh, right, right.
February right now.
Right.
Today
We
is
are
still February, even though it's
we're
almost March.
we are the other Mile High city. So
Yes.
yes, I mean we do get late spring snowstorms. Not
Yes.
unusual.
Yes.
Yeah. So
And of course, you know, I reminded her of that, and she was like, oh, yeah.
yeah.
Anyway.
All right. Well, thanks everybody. If you got any questions about real estate, you know how to reach us. Our website, welcomehomeabq.com or 505-448-8888. Take care.